let's go to our big WTF questions of this episode. My first one I'll present to you all, and let's try to answer them. We may not be able to. I don't know that there necessarily are always answers. But my first question is, why did Sansa in the North secede from the general 7 kingdoms to now be 6 kingdoms? And why was everyone, including King Bran, okay with it? I do not understand.
Would Sansa have succeeded if they said, well, why don't you be in charge? I read that as almost out of spite of like, I'm going to be in charge. I love you, little brother, but that should be my job.
Maybe, but like a
little bit of that.
Stark is king of all of it. And if she doesn't, why didn't every other kingdom
That was the thing.
say,
I was like, why?
Me too?
Like, why wouldn't Dawn be like, yeah, I want to be my own independent nation. Screw you guys. It didn't make sense. It made sense to me that she would want that. It didn't make sense to me that others would not like follow suit.
I still don't understand why she still would want that, though, with Bran on the throne.
Well, I get it because it's more about the Northmen, right? She kind of makes this mention. Another thing that I will just briefly mention is that the episode drove me a little nuts in that we don't see the kind of scope of what all of this means for the wider Westeros. We kind of see this council of people making the decisions, but we don't know if anyone outside of King's Landing even knows that this happened or cared or, anything that's happened. So to me, if you say we have like thousands of angry Northmen outside the walls who are like going to riot if you don't free Jon, I think that the Northmen have suffered enough. They were on the front lines. They're the ones who died fighting the Night King. They're like, we don't want to bow. We were king in the North thing.
The rulers helped, though.
I think that it's just an independence thing. It's like, why should we bend the knee? Because Bran's not going to be around forever, and then who knows what the next person will
They're
be.
just
so
nationalist, isolationists.
I think so, yeah. I feel like they're like, we're planting our flag now. We don't want to deal with any of your political BS anymore.
So couldn't they all splinter apart again?
That's what I'm saying.
sure.
Like, why wouldn't everyone else
could.
have the exact same response instead of Bran? Like, first of all, Sansa's like, North is going to peace out, and Bran's like, okay.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yep.
He sees everything.
It's
He
just
knows
the like
something.
narrative corner cutting that's been a problem this whole season. It's like, we don't have time to make a big deal out of this, so it's just going to be fine.
Yeah.
Don't think about it too hard.
They did need to do the work to show why the people would not want to join knowing Bran was in charge. But I understand that because they know that being part of that whole thing didn't work out, regardless of who was in charge for them, really ever.
I mean, Davos did say the whole thing, like, thousands have already died. Can't we just get along kind of thing?
Yeah. And so I think they were just like, even if Bran's in charge, it doesn't really change. We still want to be independent.
Yeah.
But why didn't the other kingdoms voice their
I
opinion?
expected Dawn at least to be like, us too.
Also, it maybe was kind of a power play on Sansa's part of saying, I got to take what's mine. Like, I worked so hard. Like, she fought like hell to bring Winterfell back to House Stark, and she wanted to keep it that way. And also, I just think that they fought so hard to get Winterfell back and the North back, and the people of the North made it very clear that they didn't want to ever, and so
Bend
that had to have
knees to anyone but whose name is Stark, and it's Brandon Stark.
But I think in the North, don't they say any king in the North whose name is Stark? I can't remember what they say.
I think that's that's like we're getting out to semantics, but I think they were like, it's almost like a honey trap of like, but it's Bran Stark, everything should be fine. But I think no, like they just truly wanted to be their own people. Yeah, they did not do the work, but I kind of see it. I think they knew the audience would remember. Oh yeah, there was that whole thing where they will not bend the knee to anyone in King's Landing ever again. And so they were just carrying that through and assumed we'd all assume it was fine, even though it's really not.
I'm not sold, but let's move on to my next question. Yeah.
Well, I'm just wondering why does Bran have to stay in King's Landing? There's literally nothing there. There's no throne. There's no one there to rule.
That's another
There's
good
no
question.
stuff. I'm
It's
like,
in the
he could
middle-ish,
go
I
back to the
guess.
North and like what?
So hard to rule an entire kingdom from a fringe. But so my next question is, speaking of fringes, if the North has seceded from the 7 kingdoms and there are no wildlings to threaten the wall and there's no White Walker to threaten the wall, why does the Night's Watch still exist, and why is it still based in Castle Black, which is technically outside of the 6 kingdoms that Bran rules?
That is a great question. That is a very WTF thing. I think it's almost like you do have to have border defenses. Like there can
But
be.
it's not their borders anymore.
That is true, But
someone did.
It's Australia. It's
like,
where you go to send the convicts.
Yeah.
The United States, there's Canada and then Alaska, right? So maybe it's that kind of situation. Like the Winterfell, or sorry, yeah,
You got sent to the radar station
The North
in Alaska.
is like Canada.
I think they need a punishment zone, and now it's like Guantanamo Bay, but like nicer.
It's the penalty
And
box
also,
in
is there
hockey.
even a Night's Watch like we see Jon and all the
John
wildlings?
even asks that. He's like, "Is there still one?"
And they're like, "Oh, sure, there needs to be somewhere
"Is
to
he the
send
Lord
them."
Commander?" That's, I guess, another WTF question.
You think as part of like re-establishing, like breaking the wheel and everything, and changing the format of everything, they would get away from this like what is essentially like
Antiquated,
indentured
yeah.
servitude. And like this place where you banish people to like this icy tundra and make them live out their lives in these like horrid conditions and like, you know,
and rely on all these like rapists and murderers to like be honorable and like
Right.
somehow
Also,
protect
someone who
other
saved
people.
the realm / betrayed it, and also is the one true heir. He's Maester Aemon, but now he is
The new
Aegon
Jaime-
Targaryen.
Well, he's the new Jaime Lannister too.
He's also the last living Targaryen, if you think about it. And the actual last living Targaryen who, if he sticks to his vows, will never bear a child who will be another
Everyone's just
Targaryen.
like, no more Targaryens.
Yeah.
They didn't do so good.
So is that the real reason then? Why they're like, we got to keep the wall there because otherwise this guy can have
I'm
a
going
kid.
completely off script. I haven't even gotten to our actual number 2 here, but yeah, why did they just disregard Aegon Targaryen as being potential king?
Right, especially it's kind of up for debate whether Varys succeeded in sending all of his letters, how many he sent, how many people at the council actually do know Jon's true lineage, because you have to wonder how many of those people would be like, oh yeah, he is the rightful heir, and so what if he killed like the second in line for the throne? He technically deserved it. So I feel like most of those people had to not know to make it make sense.
I mean, they were all just sitting there. Sansa and Arya could have said, hey guys, you know, our brother's the real deal.
I mean,
he's not technically their brother.
I have 2 reasons. One is that they just decided they didn't want to do this whole monarchy thing anymore. So
I just wish it happened on screen.
Right, where they had that conversation. Like at least somebody brought it up.
Right.
I forget my second thing. Never mind.
Well, again, going completely off script, another WTF question. We saw what happened to the Unsullied. They went to Noth in homage to Missandei. What happened to the Dothraki?
They were just hanging around the wharf.
Yeah.
Like I think they're just part of. They're
Are they
integrating in
just there?
society now.
Yeah.
Causing trouble.
The
Are there
Dothraki,
sellswords
the
now,
perfect group to integrate into a society.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll
At
become
least
like.
they're alive for now.
Yes, we thought a lot of them.
thought
Pretty
they
much,
were
we
all
thought all of them
gone. Well, yeah.
died in the Battle of Winterfell, but
Yeah.
then a ton of them were still alive for the Battle of King's Landing. So I guess not.
Very convenient.
But yeah, maybe they're just like a people with no nation. Like maybe they're like the Golden Company, where they're like hiring themselves out as like these like really badass sellswords.
But we
But
have
they're
to
nomadic, aren't they? So I mean, they're just like, it's a new place
guess
to
they
wander.
could
off.
sail back.
I think, but would they? Because they're so afraid of sailing. Last we heard, but Daenerys got them to overcome that fear. Like, are they just chill with it now?
They're
It would be cool
afraid
if they
of
became
water.
the
That's
next.
their thing.
Yeah, because you should go back and watch the show, Jim. It's a whole thing about.
Welcome
going
to Game of
I got
Thrones.
Dracarys on that.
That was my Dracarys with a weird noise. Okay, back on script. What is up with Drogon's behavior? He did not kill Jon Snow, and he just flew away to the east. We hear Sam say, what do you think is kind of the reasoning behind why he did not kill Jon? I know we talked a little bit about this earlier. And where do you think he has gone?
Yeah, we already touched on the fact that it's probably something to do with the fact that Jon is a Targaryen who already has an established bond with this dragon. Forgive me for jumping ahead and explaining that earlier. But as far as where is Drogon going now, well, to bring it back, you had a great theory to where he might be headed, Terri.
Tell us your theory.
I've been talking a lot. I figured I would talk. Anyway, I think if he's going east, it makes sense that he would go back to Valyria with Daenerys. That is where the Targaryens came from. That is the home land of dragons. And even though it was destroyed in the Doom of Valyria and it's left smoking and burning and is the home of people with grayscale, the Stone Men, we saw when Jorah and Tyrion kind of passed through before that when Drogon was pissed at Daenerys and off hanging out on his own, that's kind of where he hung out. And so I think kind of his innate instincts would have him take her back there. She'll
Do some
rot,
nesting.
whatever.
Maybe
And then I
pop
think
out
he'll
some
just
eggs.
be there. But I am curious, why did Bran want to see where he went and what did he want to do with that information?
Well, a dragon is a
like a
weapon
nuke.
of mass destruction, exactly. And so you want to keep tabs on that.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think Bran wanted to like seek him out and hunt him down and kill him or try and tame him or like warg into him or anything. I just think he wants to know where that dragon is and what it's up to.
So I guess he can't really see the future then.
I think it's always been unsure whether Bran was prophetic or not. It's always been murky on whether he could actually see the future, or was he just...
You can see many different paths that could go, but I don't know that he can see the
predicting
outcome.
things.
Yeah, I think it was. Although he does have a couple lines that make it seem like he was predicting the future, because like the line where he says, "Well, why do you think I'm here? To be king, of course." Or maybe it's just it's kind of like him playing chess, and he's seen every move everyone's ever made, so he knows that the game he's playing, he knows how it's going to turn out.
Yeah.
I think it's more like
Strange.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another brief WTF questions for you all specifically. Are you disappointed that Bran did not warg into a dragon?
Yes.
And we did not find out if you can warg into dragons.
God damn it, yes. There have been at least 2 options like that in this scene, in this episode, and back when he was doing bugger all with the Night King.
Like That's the most British you've ever been on this show.
You're welcome. Well, when he was just kind of sitting there and letting Theon get murdered, he was like, "Oh, I've warged somewhere, and it's presumably into ravens, but I
I'm
could
also
do."
disappointed. I'll give a quick yes.
Maybe that's why he wanted to find him.
Yeah, maybe.
The sequel will just be Dragon Warg Bran.
There we go.
Forever.
Game of Thrones colon Dragon Ward.
Jim, this next WTF question is one for you because you've already written a good explainer on the site. But the big question is, what is west of Westeros, which is where Arya is heading?
Apparently America. That's what's going
The Game of Thrones version of America.
I actually found it really interesting because, again, like I said, I'm really into kind of history, and I've been reading a lot about like Vikings and Scandinavia and like early explorers and all that jazz. And basically, like, west of Westeros is a mystery. There have been many people who've tried, a lot of sailors, and the sort of the superstitious and the ignorant think their world is flat, but the maesters know it's round, and so does George R.R. Martin, because he said it is, I guess. And then, but there was a character named, I think, Alyssa Farman, and who was basically the kind of the Arya of her time. She was a spirited, free-spirited young girl who went off and ventured around the world and went exploring, and she got lost to sort of the mists of time. But some people theorize, some fans theorize, that she actually showed up in season 2 of Game of Thrones as Quaithe. This sort of
Quaithe has to be someone.
Something. She's a mass thing,
I love that.
and that she learned magic. She learned to live a long time. But basically, like, that could totally be a spin-off of Arya living the high life and going out there on the high seas and finding what the new world is. Because we know that there's like a Far East.
Right.
And all that, so there's going to be somewhere like a Northwest Passage kind of thing that can kind of connect these places. So yeah, I think it'd be interesting.
I'd watch that spin-off.
I'd watch that spin-off.
Now, if you go far enough west from Westeros, you do wind up in Easteros.
It's true.
It's called Essos, but that's a very good joke.
I know.
Well, no, actually,
I know.
Quaithe did say to get east, you have to go
You look
west.
so sad.
She did say that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there is something to it.
WTF question, do you think prophecies will mean anything in the books?
I think in the books, maybe. I mean, they meant nothing here.
Words are wind. Isn't
Yes.
that a popular phrase in the books,
Yes.
especially?
Yes. That's the thing. It's so open to interpretation. Like, what does it mean?
Who is Azor Ahai? Who
I
is the
wanted
prince
that
who was
to be
promised?
something, but no.
How will the sun rise in the west and set in the east?
It
What,
won't.
who was the prince that was promised then? Was it Bran? I don't know. For
The book readers
the
with the
listeners,
answers.
they all shrugged.
Yeah, we all shrugged.
Yeah.
Perfect shrugs.
Yep.
All right, last WTF question. I know I went very long with all these, but in the final scene of the final episode of Game of Thrones, Jon is with the wildlings. He's traveling north of the Wall, and they are walking into the woods. What does this mean? What is he doing with them? Has he abandoned the Night's Watch? What is your read of what he's doing in this scene?
My mirror read is that he... That was for you, Terri. No, my read on this is that, no, he did not abandon the Night's Watch. I feel like, we forget because a long time has passed, but he really put himself out there to help the free folk, the wildlings, and he literally died to help. That's what got him killed, because he was like, oh, we need to help them, bring them to this side of the wall, and all that stuff. That's what got him killed. He died for them, was brought back. He was brought back by the Lord of Light, right? And
For a reason.
for a reason. Part of that was probably to stop the Night King, to help stop the Night King, even though Arya was the one who
did nothing.
Did the dirty business. And then also maybe it was part of it was to take down Daenerys, but maybe the final part of it was to restore these people, these displaced like refugees essentially, like to their land. And I think that's what he was doing. He was just guiding them out safely back to their home, and I think that's a beautiful, poetic way for that to be his final purpose. In a way, we see it as bad that he was exiled to the wall, but that he was placed back there by fate in a way, and got to help these people who he had indebted himself to, and finally, got a nice, peaceful ending.
And it ends where it began, right? Within the woods north of the wall, which is that opening prologue scene.
Yes,
with those White Walkers who meant nothing.
Yeah. And then, it also brings the whole show full circle, because those woods were a dangerous, creepy place in the very first episode, and now they are a place free where these
children can literally run through the woods, which is lovely. I had a different reading, and I think that he is, because I think Tormund has that line a couple episodes back where he's like, you have the north in you, like you would be much happier north of the wall, like Ghost would. So I think that's his way of I'm gonna go and have a peaceful life.
But there's also that line, was it the death of love is duty, and he has to go back and see.
But who's gonna check if he's at the wall or not?
So you're saying that he did abandon the Night's Watch, and he's literally just abandoning his post and going off to live with them?
Yep.
That's interesting, because then that would, let's just keep following this a little bit. That means he would go and just live his life.
Yep.
He could meet a new lady friend, have kids, and there's more Targaryens in the world.
Could be.
One of them goes to Valyria to find that dragon.
One thing we did take a look at, we went back and looked, and he's still wearing his Night's Watch garb.
He's wearing the black cloak.
And we know that for all that he broke his vows with Ygritte, though I don't think he was wearing those anymore. I think he was wearing wildling stuff.
Yep.
We do know he takes his vows very seriously. So I am kind of with Joshua's reading, but there's no necessarily, again, going back to the earlier question of why does the Night's Watch even exist where it does? Who's to say he can't be a member of the Night's Watch, but still be north of the wall, kind of helping the wildlings settle?
I think he will always be a shield that guards the realms of men. I just don't think it will necessarily be at Castle Black, obeying all those strange old rules that
so who
someone.
Is the Lord Commander? Will we ever find out?
Is there anyone else there left at Castle Black to do it? It might
Tormund,
just be Jon.
Maybe.
No, Tormund.
I guess, No, that's true. Well, hopefully in some future AMA with the showrunners, should they ever decide to give us any answers, we'll get some of these. But those are our WTF questions. We, of course, want to hear yours and also your theories on the questions we posed. So please do let us know in the comments below. But for now, our watch has finally come to an end for Game of Thrones. But don't worry, as I said at the beginning, the show must go on. We will have one final episode of Dragons on the Wall hitting your feeds next week. And we'll be joined by some very special guests. Like Game of Thrones tried its best to give fans what they want, we'll do the same, but better, of course. If you've been watching Dragons on the Wall since the beginning, which I know many of you have, we wanted to say thank you for the many years of talking together about this show. So we are reuniting the OG small council of Dragons on the Wall and inviting back former cast members Eric Goldman and Roth Cornett, who are now both at Fandom and taking some important time out of their day to come join us. So they will join the four of us in this very special final episode. Until then, don't worry, we have plenty to tide you over, so please do check out Laura's review of the series finale, I can't get over that, of Game of Thrones, and check out our video of the cast of Game of Thrones, thanking everyone for watching. And for all things Game of Thrones, prequels, new books, fingers crossed, and beyond, be sure to follow and subscribe to IGN wherever you like to watch. Bye.
I'm glad Eric's coming because he owes me $5.